Ladies and gentlemen, it's tea time. Hello there. My name is Tuskeh, and in this new series, we are going to be doing something that I've wanted to do for a while. In all honesty, I've really wanted to just be me, as opposed to being the guy that makes guides, the guy that, makes all of these different things and is informative. I still want to do that, because I love doing that. That's why I do it. But I also want to introduce you to who the hell I am. So that's what we're going to be doing today. But we shall not be doing it alone, I suppose. That's not the right word. We will not be doing just that. It's not just going to be my ugly mug for the next God knows how long. I'm going to be doing a bit of WoW at the same time, because if I'm going to be playing games, it's going to be WoW, because WoW is the game. It's just that simple. So, I've got my tea here. It's still really bloody hot. I wonder if I can... No, it's still too hot. I'm a bit of a coward when it comes to my tea. I have to let it cool a little bit first, otherwise I don't know how people can just boil their tea and then just be like, that's nice, because I do that and I'm like, oh, it's like having lava inside my mouth. And then I burn my tongue and I don't get to enjoy the rest of my cup of tea. So I'm going to wait a little bit before I start drinking it. And today I am going to be drinking PG Tips. It's probably going to be PG Tips for the rest of time. PG Tips or Tetley, one or the other. I'm very basic when it comes to tea. It's just that. Little bit of sugar and that's it. And I do like sugar in my tea, sorry. And also coffee, no coffee. But yes, this is actually imported. I have to actually import this bloody stuff because I can never find it. This is the Red Nose Day edition, I believe, from last year. Maybe, it might be this year, I don't know. To be fair, my husband actually ordered the last batch, so I don't actually know. It could be full of stuff I don't realise. But anyway, so yes, that is the plan for today. We're going to be talking about me. I have my notes. I have notes prepared that just, tell me what to say, kind of. But this is going to be unscripted. So, of course, I'm going to want your feedback. I'm going to want to, sort out technical issues. And there are going to be some stutters here and there. I'm recording with this Logitech webcam that I've got. It's about $100, something like that. It's a good webcam. But I might make a few mistakes in terms of, rendering it, editing it, or, just what I'm doing now. I'm recording in 720p because it seems to work a little bit better. And I'm going to be having it kind of in the corner as we do this. We shall be doing some old dungeons because it is Tuesday, which means it is Raid Reset Day in 16 minutes. Crap. I had no idea it wasn't for the next 16 minutes. Okay. Well, I guess we'll just have to find something to do for 16 minutes. Maybe a bit of Ashram, because if I go to my currency tab, nope, not currency tab, my reputations tab, I'm terrible at this, and I look for Vol'jin's Spear, this is what I want. I want to get Exalted with this so that I can get the title and I can get the tabard, because, well, I mean, it's Vol'jin, and he's like one of my favorite characters, and that's all the reason I really need. But Elemental Shaman in PvP should be interesting. So we will head over there. So that's what we're going to be doing today. But as we do all that, I will try my best to discuss my life and who I am and what I like and what I dislike. And I think the best way to get across who I am is to just tell you my story, so to speak. I've done this before. I made what was called a daily discussion. That was something I did, oh god, just probably over a year ago now. I've been doing this for more than a year, yeah. So, last year, before Warlords of Draenor released, way before then, I did daily discussions, where it's basically just me talking about something for anywhere between, 8 to half an hour, 8 minutes to half an hour, something like that. Oh, Blingtron. But yes, that was the general idea behind it, and one of those daily discussions was me just telling you about who I am, and if you picked it up, which I'm sure you have, because I mentioned it, and I actually mentioned it at the start of this video, my husband, I'm actually gay, but that's not too big of a deal. I will be talking about it a little bit, but not too much, because it's an important part of my life, but I think it's much more about the people involved, as opposed to the fact that, they're male than anything else. So we'll talk about that a little bit. But as we head into Ashran and we get our instant queue, because I've heard problems about Ashran's queue times, but I've never ever encountered them. Do I have any artifact fragments? I don't. Okay. There is... What on earth? Oh, the Alliance just raided this area. Okay. I kind of want to kill you, but I won't. Talents. We will go with Elemental Fusion. And I'll try my best to avoid... This is probably going to be a complete stomp by the Alliance, but I'll try my best to avoid too much PvP. And instead focus a bit more on the PvE. So, Glyphs. What do we want for PvP? I want Spirit Walker's Aegis because immunity to interrupt effects, while Spirit Walker's Race is very important. We will go with Reactive Shield because 10% less damage is nice, and Shamanistic Rage for the anti-magic effects. We also want to be in our elemental gear, and looks like... I may have... Oh, no! Okay, I'll have to do that a bit later. I think I sold my chest piece for elemental. Whoops. Okay. Alright, so we can remove our AoE trinket and replace it with a PvP trinket, and we'll put that on Shift 4. Okay. Okay, so let's get started, shall we? With, I suppose, my story. And it starts when I was young in primary school, which I think in America is called elementary school, something like that. Not kindergarten, I suppose, but like kindergarten and elementary school, I think, are rolled up together in England into just primary school. So that is that's what we'll start with. And there isn't too much to talk about there. I was a pretty good student. I was fairly smart, I like to think. And I think one of the most important things that happened to me, that I remember, at least, in primary school, was a moment where we had a substitute teacher. I don't remember what his name was, and this has been bugging me. I was trying to figure out what his name was, but I cannot for the life of me remember it. But this is important because he made me realize a bit more of who I am. Not so much the gay thing, that was something entirely different, but more the fact that I actually found I enjoyed talking to him, you know? I just found him actually interesting to talk to because he was a person that had traveled a lot, you know? Oh, I got firelocked. Absolutely horrific. But yeah, he'd traveled a lot. He'd been to New Zealand. I believe he'd been all over Europe and places like that. And for a primary school teacher, that was pretty damn interesting. So I found myself really, you know, interested in his stories and things like that. And I realized, you know, I enjoyed talking with him, and to a lesser extent some of the other teachers, much, much more than I did talking to people my own age. I mean, what kind of interesting conversation can you have with someone who's like 7 years old? Maybe it was 7, it was probably a bit older. More like 10, let's go with 10. But, I mean, you just can't. So, I've often found myself, you know, listening to him, and I would often, you know, instead of recess, we call it break time. But during recess, I often found myself, you know, talking with him, you know, at the edge of the playground, you know, talking with him as opposed to playing games, and I just found myself not at all interested in people my own age because they were just boring and immature. So I found that I really matured a little bit faster than normal. In some degrees, I was still a runt of a child. I was like, it wasn't until I was like 14 until my balls dropped, so to speak. That's just a piece of slang term for, you know, going through puberty. But we'll get there eventually. So that really was the start of it all, that I felt like, you know, I could, oh, the dog's barking. There's a dog upstairs. All the little things. This is going to be live, hopefully very few edits, if no edits at all. But yeah, I found that I found adults much more interesting than I did people my own age. So I got through primary school and I entered high school. We moved a lot when I was young, but thankfully I never actually had to move schools. At least not what I can remember. I believe I moved primary schools, but I barely remember that in the slightest. So that wasn't too much of a big deal. So yeah, high school was a very difficult time. I absolutely hated like the first couple of thirds of high school. It was just a complete nightmare for me because this is when I really started to discover video games. And video games, of course, massive part of my life. I am so passionate about video games. I love them to death. And I really found that I got into them. And, you know, I just did my normal things. I played all kinds of different games. I don't remember some of the early games that I used to play because, honestly, they probably weren't all that good. But I can remember the one that introduced me to MMOs, and this was while I was in high school. It's probably a couple years after when I started high school. I discovered through a friend of mine, or rather a friend of mine's dad, interestingly enough, because, of course, the whole, you know, I find adults more interesting thing. I found a game called EverQuest, and you probably know that game. It was a game that really pushed MMOs into the limelight for a lot of gamers, and got a lot of people involved. It's still a very raw game, I think, EverQuest, but the concept of it really fascinated me, because I played a lot of single-player games, and every time I went around my friend's house, her father, called Gordon, his name was Gordon, he would be playing EverQuest. And I would look at it and I'd be like, what's this game? And he said, oh, it's called EverQuest. I said, what do you do in it? And he said things like, oh, you know, you go around the world and you fight things, and it's got a combat system and all that kind of thing. And he played it in first person. I remember he went over to World of Warcraft eventually, and he played that in first person as well because he loved the immersive experience. And can you imagine? Like, I'm just gonna scroll in now. This is what the game looked like to him. Like, he'd be like, "Oh, I'm being attacked by these Arakoa." And when I remember seeing him do that, I just thought it was completely alien. Because, I mean, even now I'm, like, instinctively trying to scroll back, and this actually hurts my eyes a little bit with all the movement. But that's just the way he did it, you know? And he played EverQuest in first person as well. And I was like, okay, so this is really cool. What, can I play it? And he'd be like, okay, and he'd let me make a character on his account, and I would go through, like, the tutorial area, and I'd wander around, and I'd see other people, and I'd be like, that's another person. It's another person playing the same game as I am. And that blew my mind entirely, just completely blew my mind. I was just stunned at the idea of, oh god, you can just, like, play games with other people, and, like, it sounds so basic now, doesn't it? But back then, it blew my mind entirely. So, one of the first things I said to him was, can I borrow the game? Because I'd done this before a lot. I'd borrowed games from friends, and I remember I borrowed Crash Bandicoot from a friend of mine, and I never actually gave it back. I lost it. And he'd be like, I'll see you in court about this. As you know, like a 10-year-old. So that obviously never happened, but it was just, I remember it very vividly, him saying that. But I never let me borrow games, I lose them. I lose a lot of things. I'm lucky I still have my glasses, even now. But yes, so I asked him, can I borrow EverQuest? And he said no, because it's an account system, it's online. If you borrow it, you'll have the game, but you need to make an account, and that will cost money. It'll be like buying the game. And I didn't understand it. You know, I was like 10, 11, 12 years old, something like that, and I just didn't understand it in the slightest. It didn't make any sense, and I was like, well, but can't I just borrow it? And he's like, no. But borrowing it works. No, it doesn't. I just couldn't fathom it. So I'm pretty sure I annoyed him quite a lot by basically begging him. But eventually, for like my birthday or Christmas or something like that, my mum, who is, by the way, a baller, my mum is fucking awesome, I just want to say that. She's a massive part of my life and is amazing. So, and I'll start by saying that. And so, she eventually bought me EverQuest. She got me a subscription. And I played it, and I was terrible at it. I was absolutely terrible. I found myself really interested in, I can't remember what they were called. They were like lizard men. But I was really interested in them, and that really started my whole fascination with, you know, kind of people. What's going on over here? Looks like Korlok is being attacked. I suppose we can help them. Whoa! What the hell? Okay, I've never seen him do that before. Well, in any case, let's continue. I think we'll go to the Molten Quarry here and see if we can get some extra artifact fragments. So, actually, do we have the Tome of Ghost Wolf? Ah, the Tablet of Ghost Wolf. This thing is awesome. Side note, this lets me Ghost Wolf at the same speed as an epic mount. And we'll actually replace it with this. And with this glyph, it actually lets me go invisible and retain that epic mount speed while invisible. So you see? Wait for it. There we go. Now we're invisible. It's awesome. It's the best tablet ever in Ashran. Okay, so where was I? Oh yeah, so EverQuest. I just got EverQuest, and I was absolutely, you know, fascinated by it. And I was bad. I was very bad at it. But I found myself loving it entirely. And again, I had found a fascination with the lizard people, because they were just so alien and interesting, and I found it really interesting. Just, you know, like the story of them and their lore and things like that. And this was a game where you could quite literally, you would talk to NPCs. I believe you talk to NPCs by typing in the chat. So, like, if you wanted to, like, ask a guard where something was, you would type into say chat, where is the armor merchant? And they would actually respond to you. And I don't know why more games haven't done that. I just find that fascinating, entirely fascinating. So, yeah, that was a thing that I loved. So, I was terrible at it, and I never really, like, I didn't get past, like, level 10 or anything like that. Like, I barely got into it. Oh, I remember, it was the Froglocks. The Froglocks. Does anyone here remember the Froglocks? Like, they were literally just frogs. They like, hopped around. They had this unique animation for running, which was just them hopping up and down. Like, I loved them. I found it really fascinating. So I played a lot of that, and I had a character, he was called Grib, right? But Grib was taken, so it was G-Grib. It was like G-Grib, right? It was G-Grib. And I remember that. Oh god, it was horrible. Oh, there's a hunter over there. He's got a lot of health. I think I'm going to back off. I'm not really in the mood to PvP right now. I know, I'm in Ashran and I don't want to PvP. So we'll just invisibility away. Ooh. Holy moly, that guy's got 600,000 health. How does he have 600,000 health? He's probably got oh, he's got loads of buffs. Okay, alright. So this is not an area I want to be in right now. Especially all this stuff over here. Jeez. Alright, let's back off. Let's back off. But yes. Yeah, I had good grip, my froglock. Didn't really get anywhere past level 10. Never got anywhere. Just kept making new characters and stuff like that. Let's head down here. And yeah, so that was a thing that I did. And through this time, I was going through high school, and I didn't really get to play much EverQuest 1 before I discovered EverQuest 2. Now, EverQuest 2 was really where I got into MMOs. It was really the game that just like got me into the MMO scene at high pace. And I might die here, so I'm going to heal myself a couple times. But yeah, that game really got me into MMOs. So what I did there is I got into EverQuest 2 when the demo for it came out. I played it like loads, just like going through the starter island again and again and again and again. And I just thought it was the best game ever. I was absolutely enthralled by it, and I just found it fascinating. So I did that for quite a while, and then when the game finally came out, I discovered that my computer, which was this old, terrible thing, like my dad got it to play Microsoft Flight Simulator. I believe that was my first ever game. Like, I was terrible. I hated that game. But he found it fascinating because this is the thing. Both of my parents were in the RAF, which is the Royal Air Force in England, Her Majesty's Royal Air Force. And that's where they met, and so that was like their history. And they moved around a lot, so they didn't really develop an accent. And that's why I have this, what's called a received pronunciation, or RP accent, otherwise known in Royal Air Force circles as an RAF accent. You know, kind of very generic kind of English accent, quite well spoken, and not amazingly well spoken. It's not like heightened RP, which is like, oh, it's very posh, I'm very posh, I'm from Downton Abbey, all that kind of thing. That's not, I'm terrible. I am terrible at accents. But yeah, kind of that kind of accent. And so my dad loved flight sims, which was why he got Flight Simulator. And that's what we got our first computer. And that's what I played EverQuest 2 on. And if you've seen EverQuest 2, it's a bad looking game by today's standards, but it's not horrific. It's not the worst thing in the world. So, my computer just flat out couldn't run it. Like, I could be in the game, but I would have a frame rate of about 3 or 4, and I was so mad. Like, I screamed at my computer, so much so that at one point, the next door neighbor, like, walked out, and now I lived in a very, if you know anything about English houses, they are small. So it wasn't even a semi-detached house. It was a very small, all joined together houses. So the next door neighbor at one point heard me yelling during the summer holidays at my computer, and like walked outside and shouted at me through the window to shut up. I remember that. So yeah, that was one of my first experiences of being really frustrated with terrible computers. But I still played EverQuest 2 regardless, and this is when I discovered, I'm trying to remember the name of the guild. It was a guild that I discovered, that my first ever real proper guild. I believe it was like the Sentinels of something or other. But the most important thing is that they were a roleplay guild, right? And I found roleplay fascinating. And like that's something that's really been important to me. Like roleplay is a massive part of my life, and I'll explain why in the future in just a bit. But like I got into roleplay as good Grib, my little froglock, you know, as part of the Sentinels, and we would do little roleplay events, but it was nothing, you know, it was just like standing around. And I believe I was involved in a roleplay wedding, like just as a guest at one point. But you know, I was like 13 at this point. I was just starting to go through puberty, and EverQuest 2 was really important to me because I'd get home from school and it would just be like this whole different world for me to get lost in. And because I was a nerd, I was a terrible nerd. I was fat as well. I like had these big chubby cheeks, and I like puberty really made me drop a lot of weight. But until that point, I was still quite big, and I felt very much out of place, and I got bullied a lot. So I was bad, you know. I wasn't a depressed child, but I was a nerd child. So I was bummed out. Let's say bummed out. So every day I get home and I play EverQuest 2 when I didn't have to do my homework, even when I did have to do my homework, and I found it absolutely fascinating. So I did that, and eventually I discovered World of Warcraft. And I was probably, I don't even remember. I've been playing World of Warcraft for upwards of 10 years now. So I was probably like 12, maybe 13 when I discovered World of Warcraft. And back then, it didn't have a trial system. It didn't have any trial system, and it had... I've cleared out this area, by the way. It had no trial system, World of Warcraft, and it had a monthly subscription. So I couldn't, like, test the waters. I'm going to finally have some of my tea now. It's, oh, so good. So, yeah, I had no way of knowing if it was going to be good, but I watched the videos on their website. You know, I believe it was Blackrock Mountain was their big raid. And the Molten... Maybe not the Molten Core, just Blackrock Mountain, like Upper Blackrock Spire. And just like showing Elwyn Forest. This was like vanilla World of Warcraft, right? It was really, really like old. So I looked at it and I thought, holy hell, this game is amazing. Like, I'd never played it or anything like that, but I just looked at it and I could tell with all of my heart that this game was going to be really good. So I went up to my mum and I said, Mum, I want to stop playing EverQuest 2 and I want to start playing World of Warcraft. And my mum, at this point, thought that all video games were a complete distraction, a waste of time. You know, just like stuff that was not important. I'm just going to lean back a little bit, get a bit more comfy. So she thought, you know, I don't think this is a good idea. Like, I'm slightly worried that you might be addicted to video games. I looted a thing, didn't I? There we go. My song, I want to use that. I'm slightly worried that you're addicted to video games, and so I'm not going to do it. So at first, she didn't do it. So I was obviously miffed about that. But eventually, it got to the point where I was so angry at my computer for not being able to run EverQuest 2. Like, the main city was practically unplayable. Like, it would crash the entire computer. So, like, one night she was just, like, really angry, and, the hell is this? This must be a weak core I'm testing. But yeah, she was so angry with me because I was yelling at the top of my lungs at something that honestly wasn't all that important. And so she looked at World of Warcraft and she basically said, all right, it looks like the computer might be able to handle this. Let's do it. So she got it. She got World of Warcraft for me, and I got into it, and I just got lost in it. You know, I mean, World of Warcraft back then was just, it was new and exciting and fresh, and I was terrible. I never got really past level 30 at any point. I had to beg for gold. That was embarrassing. And even when I did join a guild, like, they would go on to Vent or Skype. No, I believe it was Skype at the time. They would go on to Skype, and I would just, like, pretend to be, like, 20 and not talk. And I'd be like, oh, yes, I'm 20. And, of course, I'm, like, 12, 13 years old, so that was just terrible. Terrible. I mean, how many artifact fragments do I have now? 240. That's pretty good. I'll say 500, maybe. But, yeah, it was terrible. It was absolutely terrible of me. But I was a complete noob in every sense of the word. But we all were at one point. But I knew I loved it. I loved World of Warcraft. And I got addicted to it. I will flat out say that. And I'll tell you why. Because a mixture of things happened. I was a bit bummed out, like I said, because I was bullied a lot. And it only got worse through the first, like, 3 years of high school. It's 5 years overall high school. Or is it 6? Or 7? I can't remember. Yeah, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Oh, it's 5 years. Okay, it's 5 years. I'm terrible. I've put a mental block on a lot of that stuff. So, yes, so 5 years. For the first, like, 2-3 years, I was bummed out. Like, it got to the point where I started flunking school, right? I would just not go. And I would lie to my mum, flat out lie. So a few things happened. I was getting bullied at school, so I didn't want to go. World of Warcraft was there, and I was practically addicted to it at that point, which was it was a very unhealthy addiction. And I also had to go through the experience of my mum and my dad splitting up, and that's obviously a very personal matter that has hugely affected my life. But suffice it to say, it wasn't very pleasant. So I'm just going to leave it at that. But all of those things combined, and I started flunking off school. And I did so for probably like a couple of weeks before I got caught. I have no idea how I was able to like last that long and keeping up the illusion of it. But I did. And eventually I got caught. And my mother was, as you can imagine, incredibly unhappy with me. And yeah, that was not one of the best moments of my life. But eventually I got back on track, and throughout year 10, so the 4th year of high school, I met a group of people, most of them girls actually, that I really liked, and they liked me, and we just got on a lot. You know, as much as you can during high school, right? You know, kind of like friends, pseudo-friends, let's say. And they were very important in helping me, you know, kind of open up as a person, becoming more confident, because I was very, very shy. You know, I barely talked. I had loads of self-confidence issues. To be fair, I still have a lot of self-confidence issues, I think. But I think I just got hit by that. That's terrible. I think they're much more professional now than they are kind of personal. I think it's still there a little bit, but I'm much better. I mean, I'm talking right now, I think, pretty damn well. Oh, God, this flurry hurts. But yes, so I met them. I started opening up a bit more. And in general, things started getting better. And there is a hunter over there. Okay, this might be a bit dangerous. Let's see if we can ruin this hunter's day. He's called Ace Hunter. There he is. Come here, you big bastard. Come here. Come here. Let's get him. Let's get him, guys. We'll slow him. We've got all the slows going right now. And this is actually going to hurt. So I'm going to use a healing tonic. Oh, God, he one-shot me. Alright, got the healing tonic. Let's do this. Let's do this. Been fire-locked, so we'll, Oh, here comes the murderer crows. This is going to hurt. He's running off. Oh, he's used his trinket now. Actually, I'm just going to let him run away, because he's got more health than me. Jesus, that hurts so bad! I must have taken a lot of full damage there, because I landed and he just, like, annihilated me. Good thing I didn't lose all my artifact fragments. Bastard. Wait, did I? Oh, no, I did! Oh, he must have looted my corpse. Asshole! Okay, damn hunters. Alright, that's not a big deal. God damn it, that's what I get for PvPing as an elemental shaman. That was actually just really bad of me. Anyway, I completely lost my train of thought. Ah! A shaman! Kill it! Kill it with fire! Yeah, got it! Got it! I'm the best PvPer. How many fragments do I get? I get 1. Worth it. Okay. Alright, okay. So, where was I? Where was I? Oh yeah, so I met that group of friends, opened up much more, and I started opening up to them about the fact that I played World of Warcraft, and I found it really fascinating. They thought I was a complete nerd, and it meant nothing to them, and they'd be like, why would you pay money every month for a game? Like, once you finish it, doesn't it just, like, isn't it over? And I'm like, you'll never finish this game, ever. So, I tried, like, conveying my passion for it, but I failed. However, I think it's very important to note that despite the fact that I was, at a lot of points, very addicted to video games, I was passionate about them. Very passionate. And my mother really saw this in me. She really started realizing, okay, like, World of Warcraft, and to a lesser extent, EverQuest, although EverQuest was really, like, the crucible with which I forged my, my love for games. My nose is itchy, sorry. And, and then World of Warcraft was very much, the game that opened me up and made me able to convey those passions. But she noticed that this wasn't just another game that I just picked up, played for a while, and then didn't play anymore. She started very slowly realizing that I had a real passion for games. And I would talk to her all the time, because it was just me and her in the house. And I didn't really see my dad too much after the breakup, but it was just like the two of us most of the time, and I would talk to her about video games. I would try and convey my passion about video games to her, and it was a very raw kind of passion, you know, me talking about, you know, how much I love it, all this cool thing you can do in World of Warcraft. Oh, like, you can, like, you log on and, like, do this thing and get knocked up into the air by terrible things. Things like that. And she started realizing, hey, my son is really passionate about video games. And that was great, because her support later on really got me into making video games something that really mattered to me. So, as that happened, I started realizing that I was gay, because I was about 14, 15 years old. My nose is giving me problems, so I apologize if I'm like, yeah. But yeah. So yeah, I realized that I never really was attracted to girls. I mean, I liked them as friends, but that was it. Oh, I got a shield, that's nice. Shield is the best thing. Okay, so I was never attracted to girls. I mean, I wasn't really attracted to boys either, really. But I started realizing maybe I was bi. That's what I started with, you know. I said, you know, maybe I'm bi. And I didn't loot that. Such a noob. But I came out to my mum, and she was like, you know, I basically knew. I'm not surprised. This isn't a surprise to me. So, yeah, that happened. And, really, that was kind of it. Like, I had a relationship with another teenager, and it was a long-distance relationship. I met the guy online, and actually, I met him through roleplay. And, he was Norwegian, and that relationship didn't really work. It was, it was the first, oh, I'm madly in love with you kind of thing, and it just didn't work. There wasn't really any real chemistry there. And there wasn't really anything. It was just kind of like, he was a friend that I had when I got home from school every day that, I could talk to. And oh my goodness, I am so bad at this game. But yeah, I could just... And now my glasses are fogged up. This is why I don't PvP. That was actually a PvE death. Goodness me. Okay, how many? I'm out of artifact fragments. I'm on 86. At least I have some. Okay, but yes, are my raids reset yet? They are. Okay, I'm gonna go do the thing I intended to do, which was do Cataclysm dungeons for gold. Okay, so I'm gonna go hand in these artifact fragments and then run away. Okay, so... What was I saying? Oh yes, I had a relationship with a guy from Norway. He was very much a person that I could just, get home every day, talk to, and be like, oh, my life sucks, all that stuff. And eventually I thought, I was in love with him. I probably was on some level, but it was very basic. It was a teenage kind of love. It was very intense. Didn't last too long. And then when we broke up, I was devastated, I'm never gonna love everyone again. All that kind of thing. So that happened. And that was definitely... a very important aspect of my life because it made me realize, that I did, I was into men. And this is a distinction I want to make. I've always said that I'm not attracted to boys. I'm attracted to men. And this is very much a thing, I think, that has been something that I've realized ever since I was young. And that's why I talked about primary school at the start here. Because I very much felt like, I found adults interesting. I still find people older than me more interesting than people my own age. Oh, that's much less of a problem these days because I'm 22 years old now. I might not look it, but I am actually 22, I promise. And I need to sell some stuff before I head off. But yeah, I am actually 22, and my nose itches a lot. Jeez. But yeah. And even now, I find people my own age a little bit more tolerable because they're adults. But I still find people older than me more interesting. And that's definitely been something that I've felt for a very long time. I need to keep that. What can I sell? I've got a lot of stuff here. I've got a lot of mastery talodites. I am terrible. This needs to go here. Okay, but yes, as I was saying, so I very much felt like I was attracted to men, not to boys. And, jeez, I don't need that. And that's very important, a very important aspect of my life, that I'm attracted to men and not to boys. So, so that happened. My relationship with that guy ended. My friend from Norway, and I moved on, and that's basically it for high school. And then I got into college, and this is where things got interesting. This is where things really got shaken up in my life. So I was pretty much openly gay. I'm gonna blow my nose now. I'm just gonna edit this out. So I'll be back in like 10 seconds. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. Terrible damn nose betraying me in my moment of glory. Yeah, anyway. So I'm going to click on my mouth while I take this cup of tea. I'm so bad. That's good tea. I do quite like lukewarm tea. So that might make me like a traitor or something. I don't know. But anyway, so that was kind of the end of high school for me. I was still playing World of Warcraft. I was still completely in love with it. I remember I didn't get past level 56 before the Burning Crusade came out. So the Burning Crusade came out, you could go to Outland if you were level 58 or above, and I was 2 levels below being able to go into the new content. So I was pissed off. But actually, my first ever character that I ever capped was a level 70 Enhancement Shaman. That's right. Shaman in my blood in pretty much every sense. That's right. And so I was still playing World of Warcraft. I played other games, of course, but I mostly played World of Warcraft. And I believe Wrath of the Lich King had come and gone mostly at this point. And yes, I remember. This is where things get interesting, because I believe it was right before I got into college. I might be getting the timing of this kind of wrong. And actually, this is the perfect zone. I remember, this is the perfect zone. Okay, so I was lucky enough to get into the beta for Cataclysm. And this is about the time when this is the perfect place, right? This is going to be terrible, and you're going to, like, facepalm so hard, right? So the beta had just come out. I thought I was hot shit at this point, right? I thought I was like, oh, I'm in the Cataclysm beta. I'm gonna go on Skype and screen share with my friends and be like, this is the new content. Oh, I'm on a troll druid. Oh, this is so cool. And yeah, I was so into it, right? And at this point, my mum had basically said, you know what, look after yourself. You know, be careful about how you play games. But I'm gonna back off. You know, you just do your thing as you grow up. You're like 15, 16 years old now. You do your thing. Enjoy yourself. Don't go overboard. If you do, I will beat the shit out of you. Not actual physically. You know, she'll talk the shit out of me and yell at me because she's scary, as mothers tend to be. So, yes. So, I was in the Cataclysm beta. And I was still role-playing, and I have so many stories about roleplay. I could make an entire video about the stories I have from roleplay. But I might do that at some other point. So, and I'm staying here for a very particular reason. Okay, so I was in the Cataclysm beta, and Hyjal had been released for testing, and I was doing it. And through roleplay, I met this guy from America called Steve, who is now actually my husband, right? I've moved to America because of this man, right? So, yes, Cataclysm beta was here, and I said to him, you want to go on Skype, and I can show you Hyjal, right? So, this is my first ever experience with this guy, right? Like his personality. So I log on, and I'll just back off a little bit here. And so I've got the default UI, and, alright. So, and I'm flying, I think it's a bit more in this direction. I try and point, it's a bit more in this direction, or just over those hills over there. But I'm on my flying mount, and I move forwards, and one of the first things this guy sees of Hyjal is this, right? And the first thing he says to me is, haha, Rim, right? That's the first thing he says to me, right? And that was the whole setup for this joke, right? That's like the first thing he says to me. It's terrible, right? But, like, I love the guy now, and I mean, I'm just as bad as he is. He really corrupted me in that regard. Jeez, I was so innocent and young. I wasn't really, but yeah. So that was one of the first experiences I ever had meeting this guy, and we had a good long distance relationship. And this is where my mum really comes into her own, because small little snag. I'm trying to remember how old I am. 17, maybe 18, right? And this guy is 12 years older than me. He just turned 30. And that, I tell my mum about this, and of course the first thing she does is like alarm bells ringing in her head, and she's like, oh god, Mad Axe murderer, is gonna like come to England and murder my whole family, things like that. So yeah, we are on 25 heroic. Yeah, we are. Okay, good. So that was one of the first things that she thought. But thankfully, my previous long distance relationship with the fellow from Norway actually allowed her to realize that there might actually be a little bit of, you know, credit to this relationship, that there might actually be something going on. And her, being the absolute amazing person that she is, said, okay, but I want to, like, you know, be involved and, you know, make sure that he doesn't want to kill you and stuff like that. So she got in contact with him and had a chat with him and said, you know, obviously the age gap is something that is very concerning. I know that my son is very much older than his age in terms of maturity, but this is obviously a bit extreme. So, but he handled it perfectly, and, you know, they had a lot of conversations over Skype and email and things like that. And eventually, for Christmas, he came over to England. And this story, although it sounds like it should be about me and my husband, is actually about my mother, because I want to tell the world how fucking awesome this woman is, alright? So, this woman has, I want to start with a bit of backstory. This woman has dedicated her life to me, right, up until this point. And she has completely and utterly dedicated herself to me. She's moved houses so that I could be close to the college that I'm going to. She's done all of this stuff. She is completely dedicated herself. She wanted a relationship, but she never pursued one because I would have been uncomfortable with it. And holy moly, those numbers, right? But yeah, she dedicated her entire life to me, and it was amazing. So that's the backstory to this. So we are in the local airport, waiting for this essentially stranger. Now, I talked with him on Skype. I'd seen him on webcam. I'd spent, you know, like 6 or so months with him. You know, just every day he'd get home. It would be like 10 o'clock for me, but I'd stay up late and we'd chat. And so we did all that for like 6 or so months. And is this guy evade bugging? Interesting. Oh, I've never seen him do that before. But yeah, so that happened, and so we're at the airport waiting for him to land, and I'm nervous as hell because obviously you can spend loads of time on the internet with people, but it's never ever the same as meeting them in real life. So I'm terrified, right? I am utterly terrified, and so we're sitting there and we're waiting. I'm nervous as all hell, and there's this moment where where my mum gets a text from him, right? We watch his plane land, and she gets a text like 20 minutes later. And I mean, this is a small airport, right? It's one terminal, one building, and a hangar. That's it, right? So it shouldn't take 20 minutes for him to get off the plane, go through like the little checkpoint that we call customs in England, and then be done with it, right? So I'm getting pretty nervous at this point. I'm like, has anything gone wrong? And my mum gets a text from him that says, I've been detained at customs. Well, not detained, I've been held up at customs, and I've fucked this up. I normally earthquake there, and I didn't. I'm terrible. Okay, well, in any case, I can probably survive this. So he's been held up at customs because he doesn't have the address of where he's going. So this doesn't seem important, but it will be. So he texts my mum, and she texts him all the information, like where we live and the address and all that stuff, and the phone. And he gives him to he gives all that information to the. Oh God, I'm dying. Just kill him. There we go. That was terrible. That's not how you're supposed to do that, boss. By the way, you're supposed to damage Rage Face, put a dot on him or something like that. So yes. So he gives him all the information, and he's let in. So great, wonderful, fantastic. But the side effect of this is that he is the last to get off. Ooh, I have a phone call. I'm not going to answer it because I never get phone calls. I get emails. So while this rings and rudely interrupts me, damn it, I'm going to drink my tea. It's starting to get a bit cold now, so I want to get through it. Alright, now, phone is over. Now, so side effect of him being held up at customs is that he's literally the last one off the plane. So the next plane doesn't arrive for like another hour or something stupid like that. So it's me, my mum, and no one else in the waiting room. So that doesn't help. Well, it helps in a lot of ways, but it generally doesn't help. So I'm waiting, and it's like any minute now he's gonna come out of these double doors, and I'm going to see him. And, I was infatuated with him. I was basically in love with him. And we'd actually admitted earlier because I actually went to Ireland to spend some time with some friends. And during that time, I didn't have any contact with him. And I realized, holy fuck, I miss him more than I miss my own mother. And I'd grown up with my mum, like, I love her. I never, we fell out, of course, like you do. But I never had any moments where I hated her. And I mean, I loved her, and I missed her horribly, and I was very much a mummy's boy, and I was like, I miss my mum terribly, and holy hell, I miss Steve more. I love him, and I realized that, so I was terrified, I was like, oh my God, what if he's not like I think he is? Oh, and I was terrified. This moment had been bigged up and hyped for me for months. I was petrified, alright? So I'm staring at these double doors. I'm waiting. I'm like, okay, any minute. Any fucking minute. And I'm just like freaking out. Because I'm the person that worries a lot. As I said, I stress out a lot. But I was terrified. So I'm sitting here and I'm waiting. Or I'm standing. I'm definitely standing. There's no way I'm sitting down in that situation. So I'm standing here. I'm waiting. And my mum, this is the genius of her, right? She looks at me and she realizes this is not a moment that I should be in. She had been involved in almost every other moment of my life, when I went, and I used to be into Warhammer, so she'd come with me to the Warhammer clubs, and, keep an eye on me, and, she would take me places, and everywhere I went, she was there. And I had this moment where I'm standing there, and I'm waiting, and she barely whispers to me, I need to use the loo. Now, for you Americans and other strange people out there, loo means toilet. She needs to go and pee. Of course she didn't. Well, she might have, but I don't know. So she says that, and she vanishes. Just like, out of nowhere. She's gone. She's just gone. And 10 seconds later, the double doors open and Steve comes along. And then, of course, we have the moment where we're like, I know you. This is weird. So we had that moment. But that moment would have been all the weirder had she been there. But like a ninja, not missing a single fucking beat, she's just gone. Just, that was a terrible click. Just, whatever. She's gone. She's poof. And it was genius. And I distinctly remember her appearing like 10 minutes later. She probably just sat, you know, on the loo for like 10 minutes and just didn't do anything. She just waited. And that is genius. And it was at that moment that I realized I am the luckiest person on earth because I have the best mother on earth. And she did that. And it was amazing. And I honestly, with all of my heart, think that had she been there, my relationship with Steve would have been hurt. You know, it would have been different. And I mean, she's a fucking baller, right? And I mean, she's done much more than just that. It's not just the case of, oh, she's done this one thing and that means that she's a great mother. No, it's every day. It's a lifelong commitment, obviously, being a mother. And she didn't get into games. She understood them. She understood my passion for them to the point where she would be like, okay. And I'd be doing like a pug or a raid with one of the guilds that I used to be in a long time ago when I was on the EU servers, not the US servers. And she could literally come into my room and say, hey, John, you want a cup of tea? And I'd be like, yeah, sure. And she'd be like, can I borrow you? And I'd be like, oh, not right now, I'm in a raid. And she's like, oh, is it a pug? How's the DPS? And she would know what that means! And that blows my mind! I mean, she's my mother! She doesn't play video games. Like, the one video game I think she's played is Candy Crush. And that's it. I think that's kind of literally it. But she's, like, amazing. Like, she knows what I mean when I say, oh, yeah, the DPS in this pug is terrible. She knows it. Oh my god, she is the best mother ever. Alright, so I'm pretty much done bigging her up now. Let's talk about something else. I don't want to inflate her ego too much. She is awesome. She really is. So, yes. I was very lucky to have her as a mother. I'm very lucky to be able to, you know, have her supporting me. And, I mean, when I said to her I want to go onto YouTube, she was like, that's perfect for you. I mean, you're so good at World of Warcraft. You played it for so long. You know it. So, yeah. So she's been nothing but supportive of me, which is fantastic. Last of my tea there. We're out. So it's now officially just chatting with Tuskeh. So, yes. So, at college. Let's talk about college now. So this was another big part of my life because this is where I really started realizing that, that I loved media. And it's really what started me on the whole path. So let's talk about college. So I got into college. Now, college in England is it's different from college in America. I believe your high school is also rolled into our college, so it's a bit confusing. But basically, it was 2 years. You had 1 year at what is called AS level, where you took 4 subjects, and then one which was A level, which was a very big important. It's the test that basically got you into university, which is your college. So you had that in your second year, where you would take, I believe it's 2 subjects, maybe 3 if you were like an A-star, super-duper amazing student. And I was pretty close to being that. I wasn't there, but I was pretty close. I was like a B-A kind of student. So I got into college, and the 4 subjects I took were, I mean, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do with my life at that point. And I basically just said, I'm just going to try and generalize a little bit. I want to do the things that I find interesting. So I took sociology, psychology, health and social studies, and I didn't know what my 4th one would be. So I was like, what on earth do I take as my 4th? I just didn't know. So what I did was I looked through for like a filler subject, you know, one that I probably wouldn't be very good at, but that would keep my interest for a year. And I picked media because I'd done a little bit of video editing because my guild, when we killed things, I would record it. I mean, I was using a better computer at this point. I'd upgraded, obviously, since then, and I could actually afford to, you know, record my some of the kills we did. And I did so because I hated the kill videos that the top guilds were putting out. I hated them. And I hated them because of the music. And I thought, you know, this game is awesome. It's got all of this great immersive music and a great soundtrack. And then you just got wub, 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 as the music for all of this soundtrack. Obviously, it's better now. The kill videos are much better. But back then, like in Wrath of the Lich King time, if it wasn't like the Lich King that had all this epic music going on to hype up the drama, then it was just like dubstep or electro, and I hated that. I wanted every fight to be immersive, to be like, oh, you're there, hear the voices of the bosses and things like that, and I've always wanted that. So I kind of did that a little bit, but not to any kind of significant degree. So, media was a kind of a natural fit for like a fourth subject that I thought I wouldn't like very much, but it would keep my interest. As it turned out, I was okay at sociology. I liked psychology, I was pretty good at health and social studies, and I loved media. Like, it was a complete surprise to me. Like, we would be working on editing videos, analysing films, things like that, and I just found it fascinating. So I thought to myself, I really like this. And I just thought, I'll do the best I can at it. And unfortunately, it is at this point that things go a little bit downhill, because it was about this point in my life, my nose is acting up again, it was about this point in my life that my mother had a bit of a cancer scare. Just to skip to the end of that, it turns out that it was completely benign, and she had surgery to have it removed, and that was the end of it, literally. Like, it wasn't really anything to worry about in the grand scheme of things. But when I heard about it, and of course it was like the course of like a month, near actually like the month before tests were due to begin, she had this cancer scare, and I didn't handle it well. Like, I mean, obviously I love my mother to death, and I was terrified for her, and like I would almost say I was depressed about it, and unfortunately I just couldn't handle college at that point. I just couldn't do it, so I flunked a lot. Like, a lot. I missed, like, 3, maybe 4 weeks worth of college, and that annihilated any chance I had of having a good grade at the end of the year. And I got, like, E's and F's. I don't know if I got any F's, because I knew the basics, but I did poorly. Like, it was a black mark on my record. So that was bad. And, once the cancer scare was over, and it was during the summer holidays, I was like, well, shit, I fucked up. And I was devastated, because I loved college, I loved learning, but I'd lost all of my energy, just literally because of the fact that, all this surgery happened. And of course, it's no one's fault, not at all, but, like, it was just a massive heap of bad circumstances. I'm just selling my gear right now. And so I basically came up with a plan. I said, I can do better. And I actually had a chat with some of the teachers or tutors at the college I went to. And I went to Paston College, which if you're in England, if you're anywhere in the kind of the Norfolk, Suffolk area of England, it's a pretty prestigious college. Like, it was a good college, one of the best in the country, I would say. Not like the super duper high stuff, but it was really damn good. So there's that. And these tutors were amazing to me. And they basically sat me down and they said, okay, you screwed up, but what you can do is you can just start college again. You can just start in 1 year and just redo it and do it properly this time. And I said, that sounds like a good idea. It really does. I want to do it right. I mean, college is very important for getting into university, and university is really important for getting into life, So, I decided that I would start again. However, I'd basically written off sociology, psychology, and health studies as something that just didn't interest me. I mean, it did interest me on a lot of levels. Like, I find health studies very interesting, but I just didn't have the mind for it. And, I'd just done a year of it, and there were so many aspects of it that I didn't enjoy, and I didn't particularly get along with the tutor very much. So, I basically said, well, when they asked me what I wanted to take, I said, well, I love media. And they said, actually, what you can do is you can take a BTEC in media. It's a different program, but it's essentially the equivalent of an A-level in terms of what it offers as a qualification. And what it does is it's basically 2 years of nothing but media with the same class. It's like a small class of like 15 odd people for 2 years. And you will learn tons about the media industry. You will do basically one of everything. You will learn how to edit videos. You will learn how to make videos. You will learn how to record. You will learn how to use cameras. You will learn how to film soap operas. You will learn how to do comic strips. You will learn how to draw, to a certain degree. You will learn how to examine films. You will learn how to examine movies. I should say movies, not films. My tutor Jane, who by the way is fucking awesome. I've got a story about her that I'll tell in a bit. Movies. And you talk about, project leading, managing files and folders and footage and editing and proper, time constraints and managing your time, magazines and advertising and all kinds of things like that in 2 years. And I thought, that sounds brilliant. I want to do it. So I did that. And it was probably one of the best decisions I've ever made, because those 2 years were brilliant, and I loved the media industry when I went into it. I loved it. I just thought, it's great. It's just an industry I want to be involved in. And then I learned all about it and came out the other end saying, fuck this industry, I want nothing to do with it. Yeah. So that was definitely a thing that surprised me. And oh god, I got stunned. Oh, I've got my dispel. That's good. That's good. But yes, so I hated the idea of big companies, and I still do. I think that it really neuters a lot of creativity, because I'd done all kinds of different things. I'd watched all kinds of different movies. If you know about the Warcraft movie, which you probably do, it's being directed by Duncan Jones. And if you know anything about this man, you will know that he made the movie called Moon, which was a little independent movie about a man who works on the moon. And it was a brilliant movie, and I watched it several times, and I discovered it because of media, because of the BTEC that I took. We examined the movie. Also, media got me into Sherlock. Like, if you haven't seen Sherlock, watch Sherlock. Like, it's on Netflix. Watch it. It is the best show ever. I've watched it, like, hundreds of times. I love it to death. But yeah, so anyway, that was a little bit of a side note. So yes, I'm standing in the bad here, by the way. That's terrible of me. So, as I was saying, what was I saying? I watched all these kinds of different movies, and the independent ones were what really fascinated me. I mean, I literally sat down and watched a movie that was one take. Like, no editing, no camera shots or anything like that. It was literally just one take. Like, the camera moves, and you never cut between two shots at all, once, ever. It was like a full movie, like 2 hours long, with just that. I watched that. I watched a movie that was nothing but shots of the Grand Canyon and other assorted shots of nature with nothing else, and that's it. It was boring as all hell, but I watched it, and I understood what it meant as an artistic expression. That sounds really kind of douchey of me, for lack of a better word. But no, it was, and I understood it. So I did all that stuff, and I just didn't like the media industry. I thought it was exploitative, and like, especially video games. Like, I spent a lot of time trying to find ways to put video games into the BTEC, the course, and it was all coursework, by the way. There was no tests. So it'd be like, you'd do a unit and you'd make a final product. That final product would get evaluated. Like, you do this in like the first and second year, and then that grade would go towards your overall score. So it's basically coursework right from the start, almost right from the start. Also, Ragnaros popping up there is one of the coolest looking things I've ever seen. Just the sense of scale is amazing. The way he points at you as you run up. But yes, so, as I was saying, I tried to implement video games into pretty much every unit. A lot of the times I failed because, I mean, you've got comic book writing in video games. The best you can do is make a comic about video games. And I didn't really do that. It was very difficult, but I tried my best. So, I really got into, like, machinima and things like that. And I made a couple of machinima pieces. They were pretty bad. But I did my utmost to try and get video games involved. And I convinced my tutors, with my passion for video games, and they gave me a lot of advice when it came to things like, what I can do in the future, whether I want to get into making video games, covering video games, things like that. And I mean, they were really important in my life in terms of just finding out what I loved and helping me grow that passion, because it was very much an environment that was inclusive. There wasn't any kind of, oh, you like video games, that's not what we do, goodbye, focus on the media. That's not what it was like. They were like, okay, you like video games. How can you implement that into your coursework? How can you find ways to discuss video games and things like that? And I remember there was a documentary section, right, that was all about making a documentary and things like that, and interviewing people and things like that. So this was about the time that Star Wars: The Old Republic came out, and I played that game. I loved that game. For the story, anyway. The combat was pretty bleh, but the story was amazing. So I played it a lot. And me and Steve were both massive into Star Wars, so we played the hell out of that game. And he played much more than I did, because he's better at games than I am, generally speaking. But yes, so we did that. And I just thought, why don't I just make a documentary that is about Star Wars: The Old Republic, and about, how it feels as a Star Wars game and how it connects to the movies and things like that. And I interviewed Steve for it. I had an interview with him about, like how it felt, and his Sith Inquisitor. No, he was a Sith Warrior. I was a Sith Inquisitor because, of course, Sith, naturally. Dark side of the Force, much better. But yes, so we did all that. And I interviewed him, and it was amazing. And that's where I really realized I can make videos about video games. Like, it doesn't matter what the content is. If I'm passionate about it, I can make videos about it. And that was more just planting the idea in my mind and saying, let's go onto YouTube. That happened much later, and I will get there. So that was a lot of my college experience. In between the times where like summer holidays and things like that, and breaks and Christmas, I would either have Steve come to England or Steve go to America. Me go to America. And I visited him in America, and it was weird. Like, I walked down the stairs, like, I'll just alt-tab so I can see, and I'll move the camera over. There are stairs, like, right there. I came down those stairs, and, get this in position again. Also, wee, Wyvern. But yeah, I came to America, walked down those stairs, and it was like something out of a bloody dream, I was like, what is all this? What? It was awesome. But yes, so we used to do that. We'd go back and forth a lot. I actually got in trouble with customs because I went a little bit too much, and I got interviewed by a man with a gun. That was scary. He didn't point it at me. He just had it on like a holster. But yeah, it was terrifying. I cried after it. It was, I'm a crier. I'm a romantic and a crier. So yeah, that was a big thing. But anyway, so I did pretty damn well with my BTEC. I dedicated a lot of my time to it, and I was also in a guild that roleplayed at this point on the EU servers, and I ended up leading that guild. It was a military roleplay guild, which you can just, if you're not a roleplayer, that must sound like blah, 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 in terms of how much sense that makes. But we'll talk about that in another tea time with Tuskeh. So did that, and so I was in this guild, and I was working on my college stuff, and I was also in a relationship with my partner at this point. He was not a boyfriend. I don't like that term. I think it's a bit incongruous towards the passion behind it and the importance of it. It's not a fling. It's not a date. It's a relationship. So, where am I going next? I will go to the Bastion of Twilight next. So, yes. So, that happened. Actually, no, I'll go to Dragon Soul. Yeah, Dragon Soul. So, yes. I was doing all that, and so college was coming towards an end, and I had to make a choice. I had to say to myself, do I go to university or something else? So I talked a lot with my mum, a lot with my tutors, and a lot with Steve about this, and basically I came to the conclusion that if I go to university, I probably wouldn't be able to actually build a relationship with Steve for several years. Like, if I'd gone to university, I would not be in America right now. I would still be in university right now. And that's a scary thought. Because long-distance relationships, if you don't know anything about them, are hard. It's not just like, oh, I miss you so much. It's every day, I want to be with you, and I can't be. And I don't just mean like, oh, yay, sex. I'm not a very sexual person. Not really. Neither of us are. That's why we get on so much. But it was like, I can't... Like, for instance, I'll show you, actually. You see this chair? That is his chair right there. His computer is, like, the horrible glare here. It's, like, right there. Like, this is one of his speakers. His monitor is right there. We sit directly next to one another, like, at almost all times when he's home. Anyway, he's at work right now because he's responsible and I'm not. But, yes, he lets me be creative. He's awesome. But anyway, so, yeah, we couldn't do that. Like, even webcam, it was only webcam. We couldn't be right next to each other. I couldn't be like, I'm in a bad mood. You can't be just like, oh, like, hug! Like, that would what it would be like. And that means nothing compared to an actual proper hug, you know? Just with another human being. And long-distance relationships, so, are very fucking hard. And at this point, after college ended, our relationship was getting strained, right? And it was getting difficult. Really difficult, because I was madly in love. Like, I was, like, thinking about him all the time, kind of in love. And I was really getting to the point where I'm like, I need to be with him, because everything else around me is self-destructing. Now, I also want to point out, and this is very important, that I hadn't worked up until this point, because, well, I mean, I was moving around a lot, and work is very difficult to find in England, even if you have, like, a graduate's degree or a master's degree or anything like that. It's still very difficult to find. The webcam looks okay. But yeah, it was really difficult. So anyway, I'm getting towards the end of college. I'm doing well. I'm pretty confident that I'm going to get, like, a distinction, which is basically, that's like an A, which is really good. I'm really pleased with that, in my BTech. So I'm pretty much sorted with college. I have to think about the future now. Only problem is this. If I wanted to be with Steve permanently, I would need to get what is called a green card. Now, this process is remarkably complicated, and my nose itches right here. Terrible. I've been ill recently. I think I still itch a little bit from the illness I had. But anyway, so I'd need a green card. And this green card had to be earned in a few different ways. One way to earn a green card and to get a visa to stay in America permanently is to do it through a company. Obviously I wouldn't be able to do it with his company because he works as a he works with SQL and coding as a manager. I mean, he is really fucking smart. Like, he's smarter than I will ever be. And so that was just not going to happen. The other way is to have a really, really professional job, like be a doctor, like a specialist, like have a job that your average American couldn't do. And there's a lot of jokes there to be said about what your average American can do, but I'll avoid them. And I didn't have the qualifications, and that would still require me to go to university to earn a degree, which would mean that my relationship with Steve would probably just end just through sheer taxation. Not literal taxation, like, you know, just like the strain of being away from each other for so long. I mean, the rule was you had to spend more time in England in America than you did in 1 year. So then that's pretty confusing, but generally it was like 5 months, and it could only be in 3 months bursts. And even then, I mean, 3 months goes by fast, and it's very expensive to fly across the ocean. So, yeah. So basically, that was one of the ways of doing it. The other was to get married, and this seemed like our best bet. Oh, the phone is ringing again. Lovely. Damn phone. Do I have any tea left? I do. Nothing like a good bit of cold tea. I actually don't mind cold tea too much. I'm not a big fan of it, though. So, yes, as I was saying, what was I saying? I've lost my trail of thought. Damn it. Oh, yes. The other way of getting the green card and the visa was to get married. And that seemed like a good idea. However, small problem. The federal government, now there are basically you've got local governments in each state in America, and then you've got the federal government, which is like the country government. You know, they're the big boys. They if they make a law, it has to be followed by all the other states. So, the federal government did not recognize gay marriage because of a bill called DOMA, which was the Defense of Marriage Act. And the Defense of Marriage Act was basically, we don't like gay people, so they cannot legally get married. Now, this was stupid for a number of reasons, such as some people in America could get married and some people couldn't, which is wrong. And, you know, like the rights of people and human beings and, you know, gay people and all that stuff. But most importantly, it was incongruous. And it was incongruous because gay marriage was already happening. Because, think about this. What is marriage? When you think about it, what really is marriage? Is marriage going to a church and getting married at an altar and saying, I do? Is that marriage? No. Is marriage the proposal? No. Is marriage the rights you have? You know, like the right to, for instance, to petition for your spouse to have a visa, or to visit them in hospital, or to be involved in part of their will. Is that marriage? No. What is marriage? Now, I'm going to quote one of my favorite human beings, and if you don't know this person, you should look him up. He's called John Green. He's part of the Vlogbrothers channel, and I've watched almost every one of their videos after, like, a certain year. I haven't watched a lot of their earlier ones. But he says this: marriage is a daily, lifelong commitment. And that's what it is. It's just that. It's practically the same as being a parent. It's a daily, lifelong commitment. And that's it. That's what it is. So you can't stop gay marriage from being legal because gay marriage is already happening. Because all a couple has to do is be together and promise to be together. They don't need to be married to do that. However, all those legal benefits were kind of important because, I mean, it was basically the only way that I could be with Steve. Now, it was also important to note that he could have come to England and got himself a visa here. Sorry, I'm not in England anymore. But the problem with that is that the house that I'm in right now, he's lived in it for 30 years. He was born here, and he intends to stay here his entire life, and I don't blame him. It's a lovely house, and it's full of history, and he looks after his parents here. Like, this is the basement. Can you actually believe that? This is the basement. And it's lovely. It's basically a house. And he looks after his parents, who live upstairs. I mean, he has to because they're quite old. And, I mean, that's entirely fair. He couldn't. I mean, he'd been working at his job for upwards of 15 years. I mean, he's been working for a long time. And it's a good job. He couldn't just abandon all of that. He just couldn't. I mean, he has an extended family here. I'm an only child. He's never moved. I've moved a lot because my family rented houses. It just made more sense for our relationship for me to move to America than for him to move to England. So, we basically had to think of a way to get me there. And we found it because I have no idea how I was this lucky, but the same year that I finished college, DOMA was revoked. And this was a massive moment for nose-picking gay people everywhere. But basically, DOMA was just struck down. It no longer existed. Like, it didn't make gay marriage legal in all states, but it was already legal in some states. It just meant that gay people who got married had the rights of normal married people, you know, like things like I said, you know, the right to see them in a hospital, the right to be put on the will, the right, you know, to petition to have a bit of money back on your taxes, things like that. All of that was... Can I get this before? I should be able to get it before. Maybe. I'm waiting for the thing on the left here. Once it hits the wall, I'm going to be knocked up. It won't kill me. Oh, damn it. I'll just put my Spirit Walker's Grace here to keep casting. But yes, so that got revoked. And it meant that I could petition, or Steve could petition, to have me as his spouse, once we got married, to live in America permanently. And that's what we did. It took upwards of 6 months to get that done. But we did it, and I was able to spend those 6 months in America, and that's when I first came to America and lived here permanently. It was amazing, and I was incredibly lucky. Incredibly lucky. Just, it was coincidence, essentially. And I was stunned, and I basically went downstairs one day, my mum was watching TV, and I said to her, "Mum, I'm going to America." Just walked up to her and said it. And that's what I did. I went to America, I left my entire life, my family, my friends behind, and I moved to America. It was terrifying. And I knew no one here, except for Steve and his extended family, because I visited it a few times. But, yeah, I knew no one, and it was terrifying. But what was very important was that I was able to be with Steve permanently. And it was difficult at first, because, of course, this is his personal space, and I was here permanently. And we figured it out, and we rearranged things, and we did it. And he was nothing but amazing. He really was. And his whole family accepted me here. And it was fantastic. So that's pretty much it in terms of what my story is. Because at that point, I thought to myself, okay, I need a job. I can't drive. I still can't drive. I'm going to learn to drive this year, I think. It's an important skill to have in America, but I would be a bad driver. I get easily distracted, so yeah, that's a bit scary. But anyway, so I was here. I was living here. got married, got through the whole process, and now I'm going through acclimatization. So I have to be here for, I believe, 10 years before I'm like an official American citizen. Right now, I have a green card, and I have my visa. So I'm here permanently. That's great. So after that happened, I thought, right, now that I have a visa, I can apply for a job. So I started looking for work. And I realized my nose is really, really itchy, so I apologize. Damn it. I've got acne. God damn it, I'm 22. Why do I still have acne? Oh, it's the worst thing. You know why it's the worst thing? It's stress, that's what it is. The last month has been very stressful. Like, this basement flooded. Can you believe that? Not too badly, but it still flooded. Nearly destroyed the computers. Had to move everything. And after that, I got ill. Like, really badly ill, which is why I haven't been doing too much over the last month or so. So, yeah. Any hoot. So, right, what was I saying? Yes, I was looking for work, and I realized maybe I could get into YouTube. Maybe. And I thought that might actually be a good idea, because like I'm a big fan of people like Total Biscuit, Jesse Cox, Day 9. I mentioned him in the video that was going up to this one. You know, that I was basically a huge fan of those people, and I am. I love Day 9, and I love Total Biscuit, and I love people like Jim Sterling. I am a massive fan of Jim Sterling, although I've discovered him only quite recently. And so yes, massive fan of all that, and I thought, and they've talked a lot about being on YouTube, and you know how it's a huge long process. If any of you have heard of Ciderhelm, he used to do tank spot guides. Tank spot's a bit obscure now. If you know Law, who works with Blizzard now, he's a community manager. He used to work for Tank Spot, so that was pretty massive. And Ciderhelm was the person who basically started Tank Spot, and he talks a lot about his career and how you can build your own, and that really helped me get into YouTube. So all that stuff happened, and I thought to myself, I can do this. I can make guides. I found a gap in this was around Mr. Pandaria, like late Mr. Pandaria, last year, and I figured out, you know, I can do this kind of thing. I can make guides that are better than the ones that currently exist. I can make guides that just flat out don't exist, and I can make content that people will find interesting. So I made my LFR guides, and I want to shout out Fat Boss TV at this point, because I was a pretty common viewer of their stream, and Alex, who is one of the brothers of Fat Boss, he realized, he said, Tuskeh, you're making videos. Once I mentioned it, and he was like, okay, link it in chat, everyone go subscribe to this guy, and he offered me advice and feedback. And I went from like 4 or 5 subscribers to like 150, like almost instantly. And then it just started climbing and climbing and climbing, because he, along with a little bit of advertising that I did on MMO Champion on the forums and things like that, it slowly started to build a subscriber base. And he basically allowed me to get started, and huge shout out to him for that. So thank you very much, Alex of Fat Boss TV. You are the man. So that was a thing that happened. And we'll just start this event here with this horrible trash. Come on, Thrall, let me talk to you. There we go. Okay. So I got into YouTube, and I slowly started developing the channel, and it's just gone really well. And that kind of leads me to where I am now. And there's one more thing I want to talk about before I'm done, and that is dependence. Now, this is something that I've struggled with my entire life. I've been dependent on people. I mentioned earlier that I never had a job. I found work in a charity shop, but that was volunteer work. I wasn't getting paid for it. And that's literally my only experience with a retail job. I haven't done anything else, and I hate that fact. I honestly really hate the fact that I've never worked. I think that YouTube is really starting to become a job now, properly, and that really helps, but it's still difficult for me. And I was reliant on my mother when I was growing up, which is kind of to be expected. And now I'm reliant on Steve, and he makes almost all of the money, and I don't make that much. Like, my guides generate a good amount, but not a huge amount, like not nearly enough to live off by myself. So I still rely on him, and I hate that. I mean, I love him to death, and were the situation reversed, I would support him if he wanted to do his thing instantly. But YouTube is a career path that is incredibly slow. Like, really damn slow. It could take 10 years for me to get to a point where I'm making enough money to live by myself if I wanted to. You know, actually make a decent amount of money. And that's just the reality of it. And I hate the fact that I am dependent on other people. I want to be self-reliant. I want to be a person who can look at himself and say, I have succeeded, you know? I am a person who leads a successful life. I make a creative product, creative artwork, essentially. I mean, I don't consider it art when I'm working on it, but it is in a lot of ways artwork. Making videos, it's a creative process, and that has a lot of similarities with writing, a lot of similarities with movie making, with all kinds of different things. And there's a lot of different skills that goes into YouTube. I mean, like, you have to be able to speak. I actually had a minor job as a radio host, actually in America, although I got paid like $10 once, and that was it. I did it because I loved doing it. Where it was just like talking non-stop. It was talking about interesting things and playing music, and I thought I was a pretty good DJ. I had a peak views of 1,000 at one point, which was nice. It was pretty big for the radio station at the time. Unfortunately, it just fell apart because of bad management, but it was an opportunity I had to really, you know, learn about, you know, working online and things like that. So that was good. And like I said, I don't like being reliant on other people. I want to be self-reliant, and I want to be someone who can look at myself and the career that I've made, and that can say, you know, you've really done a good job. Like, you know, you can be proud of yourself. And I have moments. I have successes. I don't think you can have success. And this is quoting Hank Green, John Green's brother, where he says, you can have successes, but you can't have success. And really, you have to be happy with what you do, and who you are, and what you like, and what you dislike. And you have to do that, because otherwise you just won't be happy. And I agree. And I'm trying that out now. I'm trying to introduce who I am to you, and hopefully you've lasted through this video. We're nearly done now. I'm nearly done ranting. But hopefully you like, right? And hopefully you think that I'm a person that you want to support, and that's it. I mean, that's the thing I love about YouTube above everything else. I mean, think about someone like Steven Spielberg, or like the big people in movies like Tom Cruise, and even to a lesser extent people, you know, in video game producing like Chris Metzen and Mike Morhaime from Blizzard, or, you know, all these different people, right, that are very celebrity-like. There's a lot of opaqueness to who they are, right? And by that I mean, you can follow Chris Metzen on Twitter. You might have, I don't know if he's on Facebook or anything like that. You can do that kind of thing. I'm just going to pop some cooldowns here so I don't die. You can do all that kind of stuff, but it's YouTube, I think, that allows a person to say to their audience, to you people, basically, this is who I am, raw. I'm just laying myself out. This is it. What do you think? You can unsubscribe right now if you want to. And I would not hold it against you. If you think, oh, this person's an asshole, he's, you know, he's really irresponsible, he plays games when he could go out there and find a job that pays more almost instantly. Like, I make less than minimum wage right now. I can go out there and find a shit job and make more money for the people that I love. I love Steve, I love his mother and father, I love his sister and his brother, I love the cat, who's not actually here right now, I'm surprised he didn't intervene at some point. I love the dog, and I love the house, I love being here. This is my home now. I've been here for 3 odd years, something like that. And this is my home now. I mean, the only house I've ever been in longer was the house I had prior to this one, and yay, cinematic that I'm going to skip. But yeah, that's just it, you know? I want to support these people. I want to support my husband. In an ideal world, I would do this. I would make videos about what I love, and I would make as much money as he does. I don't want to make more than him. I don't want to be the person that he relies on. Of course I don't. I don't want to, you know, say like, oh, I am the bread maker, I am the money maker, all that stuff. I don't want that. I want to be worth something, which is a bit of a silly thing to say, I think, because I know that I am worth a lot to him, because, I mean, I won't go into it too much, but I know that I've helped him on emotional levels. I mean, just having another person in your life is huge, and I know that, I mean, I don't want to sound like an asshole here, but I know I'm a nice person. I mean, I know that I'm a good person, I know I'm fairly clever, I know that I'm, you know, I have a lot of redeeming qualities, but at the same time, I often worry that, you know, I am lazy, that I could go out there and get a better job, that I'm not friendly in some regards, I'm too cynical, I'm too naive, things like that. I constantly worry about that. And you can go ahead and think to yourself, you know, oh, he's lazy, he's bad, he could be doing this other stuff, and I don't like that fact. That's fine. And if you don't want to support me, I entirely understand. Like, 100%. Like, a lot of the times I don't like myself. And I've said that a lot. I've said I just don't like who I am. I just don't like it. And I think that's not incredibly healthy, and I've been trying my utmost to get better at it. But I honestly don't like myself. And that's something I'm working on. But I am trying my best. And I mean, if you think it's something worth supporting, then you can watch these videos and you can offer feedback for support, and you can offer feedback and support, and you can, figure out, you help me figure out how to make this stuff better, and things like that, and you can offer suggestions for things you'd like to see me do. And I just want to build that connection with you, the audience, and, and be able to say to you, this is who I am. If you like it, you can support me, and let's do cool things together. Let's play games together, and things like that. And let me talk about the things that I like talking about, and let me rant when I want to rant, and know that I have an audience that wants to actually hear that, So that's kind of it. I'd like to make this my career. I want to get to the point where I can make as much money as Steve does, where we can say things like, oh, we can do these things together. We can afford to do this or that. I can say to him, okay, I can pay for this thing, and I can actually do it. I can say, yeah, I can be the guy who pays for dinner for your parents' anniversary, which is coming up soon. They're going to be their 50-year anniversary. 50 years. That's insane and awesome. And it's amazing. They are a huge inspiration. But yeah, and I'll be able to say things like, I can afford to do this, and Steve will be able to do things like, he can, like, one thing I've always wanted is, he writes, like, and I'm going to say this, he thinks he's a terrible writer, but in reality, he's really fucking good. Like, he has got a way with words that I can't even begin to comprehend. Like, he is just so good with words. And, get the fuck down here, Gorion. Let me kill you! Yeah. He has a way with words that I can't even comprehend, and he's so clever, and he would like to write, he wants to make a book, but he doesn't have the confidence all the time because he works so much. I would love to be able to say to him, look, I make X amount of money, I can pay for everything if you want to just abandon your job and focus on what makes you happy in life. I would love to be able to say that to him. That would mean so much to me if I could say that. But right now I can't, and I have to say that eats me up. It really does. It pisses me off that, I can't say, if you want, I can do this. I can be the person who supports you. This is going to be a boring fight, by the way. I just have to sit here for about 2.5 minutes so we can continue to talk. And I want to be able to say that to him, and I can't, and that bothers me. And I know that explosive growth on YouTube is very unhealthy for a channel. Because those views can very easily go away, and it's a steady process. I'm on nearly 12,000 subscribers now, which is great. I think that's amazing. But yeah, if I can get to that point where people support me and the subscriber base is big enough that every time I release a video, it makes money by itself, and I can build up this viewer base, and I can go onto Twitch and start, working on getting a subscriber base there. And actually get to the point where I can say, if you want to donate, you can donate. If you want to subscribe so you can get access to special things in the chat or moderator privileges, I hadn't even thought about that. Not moderator privileges, though, that's a bad idea. But yeah. Things like that. If I can get to that point, I will absolutely start working towards that dream of being able to say to him, yeah, you can focus on what makes you happy because you spent so many years of your life making me happy and being supportive, and he's done nothing but support me. Like, I've had so many times where I've said, maybe I should just stop and find work. And he's every time said, no, because that will make you unhappy. You can do this. You can make a career out of it. Do it. And he's been a massive, massive support to me. Okay, he's rolling left. I'm just going to do this quickly. That looks really cool, by the way. I heard this. I never actually did this fight when it was progress, but I heard that it was pretty bad in terms of how difficult it was. and just how awkward it was. But it's a cool looking fight. I mean, it just looks awesome. Like the way he rolls, I think is awesome. But yeah, so that's something I really want to work on, and I'm now going to talk directly to you. I will at no point beg you for money. That's not something I want to do. I think I made a mistake by opening up a Patreon account by, you know, saying things like, oh, if you want to support me, I'll offer you these little bonuses like being in a credit sequence at the end of a video. I just don't think that works. I want you to support me because you like me, not because I'm offering you incentive, you know, like offering you rewards that, you know, one, should be baseline, and two, I just don't think it works. So, where is the tendon? Where is it? There it is. But yeah, I would like it to be more donation-based and less, you know, support-based off of rewards. So, god damn my nose, sorry. But yeah, that's what I want, and I'll do my best to make that reality. And I've actually set up, if you want to, I'm not gonna, like, I don't want to promote this too much, but on my main YouTube page, there is a button on the right that basically says donate, and you can donate like $5, $10, however much you want, and that money goes right to me. I think Google might take a cut of it, but you know, they always do, because most of the money I make is through adverts, which is why almost every one of my videos is monetized. But yeah, if you want to support this kind of thing, and you want to go above it, and I'm not asking you to, I'm just letting you know that the opportunity is there, then you can go to my main YouTube page, which is youtube.com/Tuskeh, and there's like a button on the right that says, I'm actually going to my YouTube page now because I haven't had it set up for very long. Let me just get it here. By the way, I look up there because there's a monitor up there that's really big that I've got connected to my my computer. It's actually providing most of the light for this right now. So if I just go to youtube.com/Tuskeh, not Tuskeh, I can't spell. There we go. Yeah. There's a button on the right that says support this channel, support Tuskeh so that he can continue to do this. You know, that's just it. And then that's it. You can pay and you can support, and that's literally it. I'm not going to ask you to do so. I'm just going to make you aware that the opportunity is there. And you can go ahead and support me if you feel like I'm worth it, if you feel like it's an investment that you want to make. Because I want to still make these videos. I want to make the videos that I love to make, which are videos like this, and also guides. I love working on guides. The Elemental Shaman guide is in the works right now. And I will get it done as soon as I can, and I will do it. I promise you that. Come on, there we go. But yeah, I will get all of that done, and that's what I offer you. I mean, I'm going to offer you me, and I offer you the things that I do, and hopefully we'll be able to do things like I'll be able to play more games and just offer you entertainment and information at the same time. So yeah, that's basically all I have to say in essence about, you know, being dependent on other people and how I want to build my future and my career and things like that. I mean, it's just something I want to do. I mean, it would be a complete dream if I could turn YouTube into a career that makes money. And, you know, in the future, I might not cover World of Warcraft anymore because World of Warcraft isn't a game that will last forever. And who knows, 10, 20 years in the future, I might have a big subscriber base and I might be doing something else. I might do reviews. I mean, I think I'm a fairly critically minded person and that I can make interesting content. I could do entertainment stuff. I could do Let's Plays. I could make guides for a different game. Maybe the next game that Blizzard releases that's an MMO. I don't know. All that kind of stuff. I don't know. But I will still try. I'll still do it. If I'm in this same situation, I'll do it. And yeah. I mean, if you want to support that, fantastic. If you don't, I understand entirely. So that's basically it at this point. I've been rambling for quite a while now. We've done a fair few dungeons and failed miserably at Ashran. We'll just wait for this earthquake to fade and then that'll be done. And we can finally kill Deathwing off and get our last pieces of loot. There are a lot of corrupted bloods here. Jesus! Alright, we'll wait for him to roll left and then we'll kill this corruption over here. Come on, you big bastard. There we go. Alright, so yes, as I was saying, that's kind of it. I mean, if you have any questions about it, if you want me to do any Q&As or anything like that, then I would be happy to. But it's definitely a thing that have we gotten yet? Come on, little bastards. There we go. Come on, I don't want to fuck it up now. There we go. Jesus, gotta be a bit careful here. This fight still has a bit of teeth. But yes, yeah, that's basically all I have to say about it. And hopefully I can continue to build this career and build up a community, and I fucked that up. What am I like? Alright, let's kill some more corrupted blood. Wait for him to roll left. Has he rolled left? Alright. Here, go this way! Go this way! Okay, we'll do the dance, the left-right dance, and actually do it properly this time. So, yeah. I mean, I am genuinely curious to hear what you think about my story and about what you think of me, whether you think I'm an asshole or whether you think I'm worth supporting, because honestly, I honestly don't know which it is right now. Have I bugged this fight? There's loads over here. Come on. Come on. Jeez. I don't have to do this properly. I don't want to do this properly. Ah! You little bastard! Okay, I'm going to have to concentrate for a brief moment here, because I think I've hit the enrage, which means there's just absolute fuck tons of blood. Alright, he's at 90, so we'll flame shock him, and he'll die in a moment. We have Spirit Walker's Grace, we do. So we'll just Chain Lightning and then Earthquake this all. Alright, move him over to the side. Come on. Okay, there we go. He's casting the Nuclear Blast. We'll heal ourselves up. Scratch our nose a little bit. There we go. Got him. Alright, we'll just use Bloodlust at this point just to get this over with. But yeah, definitely tell me what you think and all that stuff. And that's basically it. I'll finish off this dungeon and that will be that. We should have enough room in the inventory. We do. Fantastic. But yeah, this was it's been an interesting video. I've been very nervous about making this. Because, I mean, it's just me. I mean, that's what it is. I never want to be a channel where it's like, oh, I get this offer from a company, or I get involved in a channel, or a multi-channel network, or something like that, and I end up being distasteful, or I end up lying to you. I mean, that's just not something I'm going to do. You know, this is me. This is it. I sit here, I play games, and I make videos about them. That's it. I mean, I love it. I want to make great guides. I want to spend lots of time on them. I just want to be interesting to you. And with any luck, I am. So, we'll just kill this guy nice and fast. And that should be good. But yes, I would definitely like to get your feedback on this and future tea times with Tuskeh that we can have. Hopefully they won't be as long as this one. This is a very long one. It's kind of like the introductory one, and I just started rambling, really. I mean, I've just got my notes here if I just have a look at them. I've just kind of mentioned everything here. Yeah, that's basically it. I've mentioned everything, and that is essentially it. So, yeah, that's who I am. My name is... I should mention my name is John Morris. I didn't even mention my name. That's pretty bad of me. But yeah, my name's John Morris. I live in America. I'm not going to tell you where. Sorry. And, actually, no, I'll just leave it. Leave it there. But, yeah, this is who I am. And if you want to support me, you can watch my videos without ad block. You can watch the adverts. That will basically generate money. And if you want, you can... that should kill both of these at the same time. 47k. Oh, jeez. Oh, now you fall over. God damn it. Okay. Yeah. So that's that. And if you want to support, you know, who I am, and you want to support the future of this channel, then you can go ahead and you can donate. You can watch videos. You can just comment, subscribe, spread the word. That's actually something I would ask you to do. Like, I'm not going to ask you to donate, but I would ask you to spread the word. Like, if you have anyone who that would enjoy my videos, anything like that. If you have any personal websites or anything like that, just spread the word just a little bit. And I would stupid appreciate it, you know? I would really, really, really appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, it would just be awesome. Absolutely awesome if that's something we could do. So that's it. We'll just kill Deathwing off and conclude this tea time with Tuskeh. It's our first ever episode. Hopefully you liked it. I certainly enjoyed doing it. And hopefully we can talk about something a little bit more light-hearted in the future that isn't like, oh, this is who I am, it's really intense and stuff like that. Just play games and be happy and stuff like that. Because video games are for fun at the end of the day. That's something I try and push with my guides. They are for fun. Deathwing explodes. And kablam! There goes Deathwing. Can I loot his chin? Yeah. Oh, that was interesting. But yes, and now we'll skip the cutscene and end it. So, as always, I would like to offer a sincere thank you for watching. And, I wish you the best of luck in the world of Warcraft, and hopefully I will see you next time on the next Tea Time with Tuskeh. I'm out. Farewell.